Hello. I'm doing it. I'm doing a stream. So, last we left off with Diablo 3. I didn't have these cool swords. And these cool swords make me go fast. I don't know how long we're going to be goofing around with Diablo 3, but I thought it would be an interesting juxtaposition to go from this, like, very end game character in Diablo to a completely fresh character in Torchlight. A couple of changes to the build from last time. We have the Bull Kathos' ult set, or Oath set, which gives us 15 Fury every second, which is super cool. And also, during Whirlwind, we gain 45% increased attack speed and movement speed. So now, when we spin, we go pretty fast. We also have the Flavor of Time, which increases the duration of pylons, which is super good for goofing around in rifts. We have the Convention of Elements, which just gives us a bunch of extra damage to a random element, and it cycles every 4 seconds. We have the Band of Might, which gives us some extra damage reduction whenever we use our Furious Charge. And we also have the Templar instead of the Scoundrel now. The Templar helps out a bunch in regards to endgame stuff, because he gives us some extra Fury generation, he heals us, he gives us some life generation, good stuff, but also, more importantly, I got a relic for this guy, which makes it so that he can't die, which is pretty handy, considering that our Scoundrel was dying anytime anything so much as breathed on him. We also cast Scoundrel aside. Hey, he was our story boy, alright? We hung out with Scoundrel from the moment that we got him until off-stream, where I switched him out for someone else. Oh, here's another thing. So I switched out the skill loadout a bit. So we have Warcry, which increases armor, and just gives us a bunch of damage reduction for everything. Battle Rage, which gives us a bunch of crit chance and also some movement speed. And then we have Sprint, which gives us a lot of movement speed. And I've been tinkering around with the rolls on some of my pieces of gear to try and get as much cooldown reduction as I can. And the main goal for getting a bunch of cooldown reduction is to maintain Wrath of the Berserker at basically all times. Tried Enchantress for like 5 minutes, and Scoundrel was way cooler. Correct. Oh yeah, and also we have some cube powers. Attacking with Whirlwind applies Rend, which is super powerful. Also, all of the damage of Rend is dealt over a second, so it's just like a big burst of damage rather than a ton of damage over time. We also have Mantle of Channeling, which gives us some extra damage and damage reduction whenever we are using Whirlwind, which is all the time. And we have Zodiac, or the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, which increases the cooldown of our skills by a second whenever we hit with a resource-spending attack, like Whirlwind. Oh, and we also have this new belt, Lamentation, which makes it so that it increases the damage of Rend, and Rend can now stack. So, sounds kind of ridiculous, but yeah, okay, so in comparison to Path of Exile, Diablo 3 Endgame is very different. It's a lot easier to get to the point where you can kind of just, like, do the thing that you want to do really well, and you're really self-sufficient in getting there. It's, you know, everyone says that Diablo 3 is super casualized, and it is, but the way that Diablo is designed, that kind of works in its favor, because Path of Exile hates you, and wants to make doing the thing that you're trying to do really well as difficult as possible. So, like, well, you're going to need a 6th link, and you're going to need to make sure that all of the colors on the sockets are right, and you're going to need to make sure that you have good rolls on these items, and the items are super hard to find. In Diablo 3, it is way, way easier to tackle all that stuff. So, it doesn't have quite the longevity, but you can get to the point where you want to be a lot quicker and a lot more reliable. But yeah, since we have that legendary power that applies our Rend through our Whirlwind, we don't have to use Rend at all. We just spin, and we go fast when we're doing it. And as long as we maintain Wrath, like, most of the time, dying is not a huge concern. Like, there are still a couple of rare and magic abilities that can just completely chunk us, even when we have Wrath going, but Wrath of the Berserker gives us so much damage reduction and so much life generation that it is not much of a concern. Also, yeah, hi Rand. Good to have you around for once. I know usually I'm streaming by the time that you should have gone to bed like hours ago, but I'm trying to stream at more reasonable hours. Path of Exile Endgame is a mess because of the power escalation through item options in the sphere grid, plus the questionable design choices trying to deal with cat and mouse games between game-breaking builds and dev. Yeah. And so, I'm certainly a little concerned about trying to do a solo self-found, no-guide playthrough of Path of Exile. I'm going to do that with the next major patch that's coming out in a couple of weeks. It's going to be interesting. I don't expect to be able to, like, get all the way through Act 10 without a build or trading, but it's going to be an interesting thing. I'm going to do my best. Like, I think the only time that I have played Path of Exile without a build was the very first time that I played it, back before there was an Act 4. And I just did, like, a basic-ass summoner build, and it was awful. Sleeping right after you get home is always such a risky proposition, because it's like, oh man, now I feel great for all of the stuff that I want to do at home, and then you get back to the time where you're supposed to do normal third-person stuff, and it's like, oh god, no, I'm dying. Oh, another, like, comparison between Diablo and Path of Exile is... So, Diablo kind of has a map system, and it's in the form of these greater rifts. The problem with maps is that you can't consistently get the kind of... you can't consistently get the end game maps that you want. Like, you have to grind a lot and hope they just drop. In Diablo 3, you have less creativity as to... or you have less details and specifics about the map equivalents that you're doing, and they don't have all of the crazy modifiers. But you will always get at least one Greater Rift keystone whenever you complete one of these Nephilim rifts. So the difficulty of the Nephilim rift just depends on what difficulty you're playing on in terms of like the base game. And then like once you have the Greater Rift keystones, you just choose what difficulty of Greater Rift you want to do. You have to unlock like the really high tier Greater Rifts just by, like, if I wanted to do a level 80 rift, I would have to complete, I think, a level 77 rift. I'm just gonna stick with 75 because currently, with my gear, it's the right balance of, like, not taking forever to kill things and not dying instantly to everything. But you can also spend some gold to empower it, and if you empower it, then you get some extra bonuses at the end that I'll talk about later. Also, hey Teddy! Trading for maps sucks, man. Especially considering how many, like, map trading that goes on is just bot-based, or like you have people that do nothing but trade maps. Like they don't even run the maps, they just trade them. And so like all of the results on the first page of like, I want this map for 1 chaos, and then all of the trades, every single time you try and do one of the trades, the map is already on. Oh yeah, so another thing about the Greater Rifts is that the Greater Rifts has, like, it has a leaderboard system built into it. So there's a lot of goofy things surrounding that, like, in order to complete a Greater Rift, you have to complete it within a certain amount of time, and dying during it, rather than just having X amount of tries, if you die during the map, you lose some of your remaining time. And, like, the goal to completing them is to just kill a lot of things, and you get a bunch of extra progress for killing rare and magic monsters. I enjoy this system a lot more for just, like, mindless endgame grinding type shenanigans, because, like, it's just fun to tear through some of these rifts, but there's a lot less depth to it, which is basically the whole name of the game in comparing this to Path of Exile. Like, this game, it's a lot more dumb fun. The numbers are a lot simpler, the builds are much less difficult to accomplish and to play. Have I become a big enough boy to make Uber Maltesers easy? I don't think... Uber Malthael wasn't even a thing. I think it was, you only get the Uber versions of the first 4 act bosses. Yeah, in Path of Exile, like Clone Archer and Cast on Death and dumb shit like that, like there's a lot more room to do the stupidest stuff. Worm Blaster. Rocket Tag is certainly happening. I think I have the keystones. I could do the Uber bosses after this rift, if I so desired. There's so... man. No, no! I wasn't hitting things, but I was taking damage. I didn't know they nerfed the Worm Flask 4 times. Oh, there was also, God, what's the guy's name? Frick. I'm thinking too much about Path of Exile. There's that, one build that was, like, self-curse temporal chains, where you go, like, obscenely, extraordinarily slow, but somehow that's, like, slowing yourself increases your damage such that you can just one-shot anything. Okay, so this is the reward system for completing Greater Rifts, is, like, you get the stuff at the end, which is nice because all of the stuff happens right at the end rather than having to worry about, like, stopping and picking up stuff on the way. But you have these legendary gems. So some pieces of equipment have sockets, but the most important pieces of equipment to have sockets are your rings and your amulet, because in rings and your amulet you can socket legendary gems, and legendary gems do some really cool shit. So this one is the one that I've been leveling up the most. Gain 4.72% increased damage for 1.5 seconds when you spend resources on a channeled channeled skill. This effect stacks up to 10 times. So when we start whirlwinding, we start building up stacks on this gem. We also gain 2% increased armor for every stack, so that's just extra damage reduction. So as soon as we start whirlwinding, we start building stacks of this, and since we basically never stop whirlwinding, and we have a 1.5 second buffer to start whirlwinding again if we ever do stop whirlwinding, we just gain, 47.2% increased damage and 20% armor, just because we are always whirlwinding. This one, increased damage against enemies under the effects of control, impairing effects by 30%, so it also gives us an aura that reduces movement speed of enemies, which counts towards increasing damage against enemies under the effect of control impairing effects, because slows count. So this gem just, like, it slows nearby enemies by 30%, and then also gives us 30% more damage. And then we have this other one, which is just extra damage against elites, and you get a little damage buff after you kill elites. It's fine, but I'm focused on maxing this one out because it's really good. Also, it's getting to the point where it is not a guaranteed chance to, also nice, but it's not an increased chance. It's not a guaranteed chance to upgrade gems anymore. Oh my god. Yeah, I guess the game just wanted it to stay at level 69. Alright. Oh yeah, another thing that I've done in the off time between these streams is I've gained a fuckload of Paragon points. So, core points are basically all going into strength, because we don't care about maximum fury, we already maxed out movement speed, and I mean, we could use a little more vitality. It'd be nice to get over 900,000 life, but Strength increases our damage output and our damage mitigation. It is everything that we want and more. So, everything's going into strength. But we won't be able to just put every single point we get into strength until we reach rank 800, because we need to max out every skill in every other Paragon tree. So we don't actually care about attack speed, because we only care about hitting things twice, because hitting something twice applies 2 stacks of rend, and then those 2 stacks of rend will kill most enemies. So we just need to hit anything with Whirlwind twice, which is not difficult. Cooldown reduction, though. Cooldown reduction is super important, so we've got it maxed out. Crits increase the damage dealt by our rends. Super important, so we've got those maxed out. Defense, life, armor, resist all extraordinarily important. Life regeneration is just kind of whatever, because all of our restoration is coming from Blood Funnel, which is a rune on our Whirlwind, where crits caused while using Whirlwind restore life. And that will heal us to full very, very quickly. Way more effectively than any other source of healing could possibly heal us. Resource cost reduction, it's just whatever. Like, we have so much fury that it doesn't... We have so much fury and fury generation that it really doesn't matter. What do you do when there aren't things to hit? Hopefully not be taking damage. If we're taking damage when there aren't things to hit, something has gone terribly wrong. But we do have a potion, so... Oh yeah, also, you can find legendary potions, and legendary potions do the same thing that the normal potion does, which is instantly restore 60% life, and also an extra thing. This one gives us some extra resist. So we got an extra 2 levels for completing that Greater Rift. Here and here, I guess. Let's go do an Uber boss or 2. Actually, let's identify all this bullshit and then tear apart all this bullshit. New transmog. Ooh. Frenzy now stacks up to 10 times. Neat. I don't have that power yet, I don't think, so I'm gonna put that away. Pretty sure... Actually, I don't... I'll hold on to this potion, I guess. Don't care. Demon Hunter only. Already have one of those. Yep. No, this current ring gives us crit damage and crit chance. Fan Braces of Shezron. Primary skills, we don't use... Sorry, I had to sneeze. We don't actually use primary skills because Whirlwind is a secondary skill. So this is neat, and we'll tear it apart so that we can get the power, but everything else about it is unnecessary. Bunch of bullshit, bunch of bullshit, bunch of bullshit. Alright. Oh yeah, something that I did learn, okay, so this is an ancient legendary. When you dismantle or salvage a normal legendary, you get 1 Forgotten Soul. when you dismantle a ancient legendary, you get 3 Forgotten Souls. And when you tear apart a primal ancient legendary, you get 15 souls. We actually care a lot about getting as many of these Forgotten Souls as possible, because Forgotten Souls are used to reforge legendary items, and that's how we can upgrade some of the legendaries that we already have into ancient, so that we can increase the ceiling on the rolls they can get. So like, reforging legendary costs 5 of each of the act resources, and then also 50 Forgotten Souls. So it takes a bit to build up the resources to reforge a legendary, but it's not that bad. And we're not in any rush to be doing a ton of reforging from this point anyways, because we already have ancients in the most important slots, which are our weapons. So this one's an ancient, this one also an ancient. It's super important to get ancient legendaries for your weapons, because not only does it increase like the rolls that all of the modifiers on the weapon can get, but it also increases like just the damage that the weapon does. Very important. Okay. Let's get some keystones, or some infernal machines, or whatever. So, currently we are on Torment 16, which is the highest difficulty. So, these Uber bosses are going to be as hard as they can get, theoretically. So let's see how we do. I maybe should have switched out Sprint for something more useful, but... these guys are taking a while to kill. As long as we don't get hit by that guy, it's probably fine. So this guy will one-shot us with most of his attacks. He's a bad dude. What do I want instead of Sprint? Ignore pain? Getting one shot is such a bullshit feeling. Yeah. I mean, that's it. Endgame Diablo 3 really turns into Rocket Tag in a lot of cases. So I can kill things pretty quickly, but I can also get killed pretty quickly. So we kill this guy first because he summons in a bunch of AoE attacks, and we don't want to have to deal with that while trying to not get one shot by this dude. We did it! We dodged his one shot. And we got a bunch of gold, and some rares that we're not even going to pick up, because we don't care. Same with Path of Exile. Yeah. These games have a tendency to allow you to increase your damage to much higher, like, you can increase your damage a lot more efficiently than you can increase your survivability in most cases. Making damage numbers go up is more effective than making damage numbers go down. Oh, buddy. Damn it. I hate it when he summons this guy. So, for those who weren't here before, This Uber boss summons 3 other Uber bosses to fight with him once you deal enough damage to him. Summoning that giant dude is probably the worst thing for him to do, because the giant dude blocks a lot of vision. Like, he is just so massive on the screen that it is really hard to tell what is going on underneath him. And what's going on underneath him is often attacks that will one-shot you. Oof. I got trapped. Veil Pact was so nuts. I summoned the big dude. Try and focus down the big dude so that I don't have to worry about another boss being summoned while big dude is still out. Oh, I summoned the fairy lady. Perfect. As long as I don't die, fairy lady is totally okay. We did it! Killed him quick enough that he didn't actually summon in the last extra boss. So that was the hardest Uber. I didn't actually pull out the Infernal Machines in the correct order, so that was the Act 4 Infernal Machine. Regret? Yeah, this one's pretty easy. This is the Act 1 Infernal Machine, so this is Fairy Lady and Skeleton Man, who we just fought alongside Shadow Diablo. So fighting them just by themselves shouldn't be too bad as long as I'm not a big dummy. Right, it's... Veil Pact is such it's such a weird thing where it's like either it does nothing or it does everything. It's very hard to balance it out to the point where it is just like a couple of builds will want this, but it's not going to like make or break anything. No, it's like it's all or nothing. And it was usually all until they changed it. Oh, am I dead? I am! He just chokeslammed me to death. I think Terror was the one that we were in. I'm gonna wait for Wrath to come off cooldown. Gotta respect the untechable grab. Yeah. I forgot that was a thing that he could do, because usually I kill this boss so quickly that I never see any of its attacks. It's been a while since I've fought it in a context where I actually have to worry about fighting it. No! I have Wrath going? Oh, no, I got killed by the other dude while I was being held by that dude. Complacency is an insidious killer. Sure is. I'm not going to worry about the big guy until I kill the little guy. I think that's my game plan for this time. There's also a little bit of an issue with this fight in particular, because Zoltan Cool summons these tornadoes that deal a shitload of damage. I also summon tornadoes that use that exact same effect that deal a shitload of damage, but not to me. Darkest Dungeon 2. I super could not get into Darkest Dungeon. Yeah, I was just never able to find the fun part of it. Stay away. Stay away. Sweet. So my buddy has some... No! No! My buddy has some attacks that will stun enemies. CBT. Yeah, not my jam. Alright, I'm gonna fix my stuff. Come back in. Do you have limits as to how much you can die? So, there are a couple of resurrection mechanics in this game. You can resurrect at your corpse, where, like, you get to do a little bit of ghost walking, and then you just respawn pretty close to where you died. But you can only do that. I think you have, like, charges of that regenerate over time. In regards, like, if you respawn at checkpoints, durability is the limiting factor. So, it's not super punishing. It's actually extremely forgiving to just be like, yeah, you can die as many times as you want, as long as you can pay to fix your stuff. I wonder if I can just burn down this guy before he does the grab. Ooh. Got a freeze on him. Okay. It's riskier, but I think just going to burn down the big guy was my best bet. Because this guy was not actually as much of a threat so long as I wasn't getting grabbed by the big guy. Oh yeah, there is an effect that you can, a modifier that you can roll on weapons and pieces of equipment where, like, that piece of equipment just ignores durability. It's rarely ever worth it, but it is a secondary modifier. So, like, on this one, like, primary strength, vitality, crit chance, crit damage. That's the good stuff. That's what you care about. The secondary effects are usually just like, a lot of pieces can roll a resistance. So like this one has cold resistance. It could be like lightning resistance and stuff like that. So it's nice to get a resistance roll, but then if you have one resistance roll, the other roll is guaranteed to be something that rarely ever matters. Like increases the distance you can pick up gold and life orbs from, whatever. Like this one, I re-rolled it to extra gold from monsters. Well, extra gold from monsters, whatever, doesn't matter. But that extra gold from monsters modifier could be ignores durability, so it's just always considered to be fully repaired. Matters very little. So let's put these back. So I beat all the Uber bosses. The Uber bosses are, like, basically the reasonable, like, I don't know, they are the most difficult, like, individual encounters that you will be up against in normal difficulty scaling. However, the greater rifts scale up to be exponentially more difficult than any of the normal difficulty stuff. So like a level 75 greater rift is equivalent to the highest difficulty level that you can access normally. But then, you can keep scaling it up. So, like, even a level 75 to level 79 jump is massive. Like, the numbers scale up so drastically from here to here. And then it scales up all the way to 150, so, like, the difference between a level 1 Greater Rift and a level 75 Greater Rift is the same as the difference between a level 75 Greater Rift and a level 150 Greater Rift in terms of, like, the amount of scaling that happened. And on this difficulty level, you are dealing probably thousands of damage. On this difficulty level, you are dealing billions of damage. Like, I can crit for 200 million. I can crit for 2,000 million damage, so 2 billion damage. It is nuts. Have I gotten the Hellfire ring and amulet yet? Yes, I have crafted one. I actually got a pretty decent effect on it, but the modifiers were kind of garbage. So, the Hellfire amulets just give you a passive skill when you have it equipped. You can't extract this legendary power, so it's not like, oh, I'll just have the Ruthless passive in the cube. So, like, the Ruthless passive is, you deal 40% additional damage to enemies below 30% health. So, I mean, that's extra damage, but, I much prefer Pylons Pylons last twice as long, because Pylon effects are things like you get a shitload of movement speed, or you deal a shitload more damage, or you just constantly attack all enemies on the screen for a bunch of damage, or you are completely immune to damage for a little while. Pylons are extremely good, especially if you are doing a lot of rifts, like this piece of equipment is extraordinarily good. So yeah, that is Diablo 3 for the most part. I could try and do another one of the set dungeons, because I have a piece of equipment called the Royal Ring of Grandeur, or I have a legendary power called the Royal Ring of Grandeur, which reduces the number of items needed for set bonuses by 1 to a minimum of 2. So, I have 5 pieces of several different sets, so I could equip those 5 pieces, be considered to have the full bonus, so that I could go do the set dungeons. But the set dungeons are kinda lame, and, like, especially the rend one, where you have to rend 10 enemies at a time and not take any physical damage. It's a pain in the ass. I mostly just wanted to show what I had going on in regards to this endgame character. I'm probably going to continue playing this character a lot until the season ends, but the season ends on the 1st, which is Sunday, so... Gotta draw stuff, gotta do some programming. Yeah, I know that feeling. Okay, the stone gauntlets are pretty cool. Okay. Anyways, so that is Diablo 3. That's endgame Diablo 3. That's what I've been up to for a lot of my free time recently. I'm going to switch over to the hold-on screen while I set up Torchlight. Also, I hear the hype train coming. Okay, Torchlight. Hey, do you guys remember Torchlight? That game was weird, huh? So I still have a couple of my characters from back when I played Torchlight. Like I have... Oh wait. Okay. I thought it was actually gonna load. Oh right, I had a lynx pet? Wow. I had this guy that I played for 9 minutes. I had a dog. And I played this